All right, so today we're not just going to talk about the science of fasting in the abstract. Instead, we're going to follow a story, a personal 6-month journey that totally turned someone's health around. Let's meet James. And this, right here, was his reality. At just 38, he was just dragging himself through the day, always tired, putting on weight he couldn't explain, and dealing with this constant brain fog. To top it all off, his doctor was giving him warnings about his blood sugar and cholesterol. Sound familiar? Yep, it's a feeling a lot of us now. So the big question, right? How did he go from that, feeling stuck and unhealthy, to actually taking back control? Well, that's exactly what we're about to unpack. You know, for any big change, there's usually a moment, a breaking point. And for James, it was this slow, dawning realization that his system was just overloaded, and he was completely overwhelmed by it all. He just knew something had to give. I mean, it wasn't just one thing for James. It was this whole cascade of issues, all feeding into each other. The fatigue that never went away, the brain fog that made work a total slog, sleeping terribly and then waking up exhausted, and all while the numbers on the scale kept creeping up. That warning from his doctor, that was the final alarm bell. He just couldn't ignore it anymore. So he's skeptical, right? But he's also desperate. So James decides to give fasting a try. And those first 2 weeks, they were definitely a shock to the system. But they also brought the very first little signals that maybe, just maybe, this could work. And here's the cool part. He started simple. This shows you how anybody can start this. First step, he just cut out the late-night snacks. That's it. And that one simple change was enough to create a 12 to 14-hour fasting window overnight. Now, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't easy. He had to power through some serious hunger pangs and, yeah, a little bit of irritability. But then something started to shift. Just little things at first. He started waking up feeling, a little clearer, not so groggy. And those intense cravings for snacks at 10 p.m., they started to quiet down. These were the small wins, but they were exactly what he needed to keep him in the game. All right, so fast forward to weeks 3 and 4. This is where things get really interesting. The changes went from being these subtle feelings to real noticeable results. His body was starting a huge metabolic shift. He felt good enough to level up his routine. So he pushed his fast to 16 hours a day. You've probably heard of it, the classic 16-8 method. And the payoff was huge. His energy, for the first time in years, was stable. No more 3 p.m. crash. He wasn't constantly thinking about food, and the weight started coming off, slow and steady. So what was actually going on inside his body? Well, it's all about this process called fat oxidation. See, after about 12 to 16 hours without food, your body makes this amazing switch. It runs out of easy-to-burn sugar and starts tapping into your stored fat for energy. It's like his whole metabolic engine was finally revving up. Now, this next part is really fascinating. By the second month, one of the biggest changes James noticed wasn't in his waistline, it was in his head. That brain fog he'd been battling for years, it was starting to clear. This was an absolute game changer for him. All of a sudden, he could actually concentrate in meetings. He wasn't getting distracted or just desperately waiting for the next coffee break. That feeling of mental clarity was a benefit he wasn't even looking for. And there's some incredible science behind this. When you fast, your body starts producing something called ketones. You can think of them like a superfuel for your brain. It's this really clean, efficient energy source that's been linked to way better cognitive function and that feeling of being sharp and focused. So let's just recap the first 90 days here. You can really see the momentum building, right? It started small in week 2 with just waking up clearer. Then, by week 4, his energy stabilized. By month 2, his mind was sharper, which then paved the way for even deeper, more powerful benefits. By the 3rd month, James was feeling so comfortable with the routine that he started to mix in an occasional 24-hour fast. And that unlocked a whole new level of benefits. A deep biological process, kind of like a cellular cleanup crew. This process is called autophagy. Seriously, just think of it as your body's internal recycling and deep cleaning service. It goes around, finds old, junky, damaged cells and components, and clears them out to make way for new, healthy ones. It's absolutely crucial for long-term health, and it really gets kicked into high gear during those longer fasts. Okay, now for the moment of truth. After months of feeling better, It was time to see if the changes on the inside actually matched up. James went back to his doctor, ready to see the proof in the numbers. And wow, look at this. The data doesn't lie. His fasting blood sugar, which was once elevated, way down. His cholesterol profile, which his doctor had called concerning, now it was improved. And his triglycerides, a huge marker for heart health, significantly reduced. This was it, the cold, hard proof that it was all working. So by the time 6 months rolled around, this wasn't an experiment anymore. This was his new reality. The transformation was so much more than just physical. It was a deep, fundamental shift in his entire lifestyle, and especially in his relationship with his own health. When you step back and look at the whole picture, the benefits were just comprehensive. It wasn't about one single thing. It was everything working together in harmony. Better insulin sensitivity, better heart health markers, that amazing mental clarity, and maybe the most important one of all, he finally had a healthy relationship with food. Okay, but we gotta have a little reality check here. This is super important. Fasting is an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but it is not a magic bullet. Its success really depends on your whole lifestyle, especially what you eat when you are eating. And critically, it's not for everyone. You should always, always talk to your doctor before making a big change like this. And this really gets to the heart of the whole story. More than the weight loss, more than the good blood work, the single biggest change for James was this feeling of empowerment. He wasn't just a passenger anymore, watching his health get worse. He was back in the driver's seat. And that kind of leaves us with this one big idea to chew on. In a world that is obsessed with adding more supplements, more superfoods, more workouts, what if the most powerful change we can make comes from a simple, elegant act of taking something away?